So as you know, lately Republicans have been avoiding doing town halls because they have to face an angry voter base with what's happening with Trump and Musk. However, occasionally someone does one, and we got some footage I want to share with you. This is Republican Chuck Edwards, Republican in North Carolina, I believe, and let's just jump right in.
Provides the framework. Yep. And you wonder why folks don't want to do these town halls.
So as you can see, it's clearly a tough room, and regardless of what you think about Chuck Edwards' policies or him as a representative, hey, I give a kudos to go to the tough room and essentially talk to your voter base. This is what democracy looks like, really. And on top of that, people had a lot of we'll just say things to say, calling him out on stuff they'd say. So basically, he spent a lot of time saying, "Hey, you should support Trump. Trump's awesome," that kind of stuff. But people would, say, "Hey, are you afraid of Trump?" It's actually really interesting. So have a listen to this.
Framework provides for Congress to secure the border, to promote American energy independence, to lower taxes, and to make America more competitive.
You guys can hear, like, are you afraid of Trump? But my prices are going up. And I want to mention this stuff too. With any of these kind of people, be it, Congress, Senate, presidents, whatever, always be connected to your voters and your voter base and always understand their experiences. And that's how you represent people. I think it's really interesting too. He goes through this and he says these kind of odd things that, like, Trump had a big majority win. I don't know. Actually, it's over here. I'll show it to you guys what I'm referring to. But hey, he's had his guts to go show up at these things. So have a listen to what I mean.
But I think we also have to realize that what we see President Trump doing is exactly what President Trump said he was going to do if he was elected. And President Trump was elected by the lion's share of the American people, and
right, people call you out on that, right? So I'm just showing you guys this stuff because this is why Republicans are avoiding these things. And at one point, he was even called a liar. Because you'll get these kind of things. If you're representing your district and you say, hey, you're all doing awesome, everyone's got a job or whatever, just something like that, or we're not making any cuts, and then people are like, I just lost my job, right? People will call you out on this stuff. This is why I remind you guys, it does matter who your representative is. They supposed to represent you, and tell them what's going on in your life. Tell them what your needs are. That's just how democracy works. There's a point here where someone's like, you're lying, and I want you to listen to this exchange. It's a really important one, so let's just see this here. So they're saying, you got to represent us all and do what you're sent there to do, talking about DC, that kind of stuff.
Thank you for that feedback.
And this was a gentleman that was pretty upset, saying, you're taking away your Social Security, our rights. He was saying he's a veteran. I'll show you a little bit more of this. You can get a sense of it. And I actually, when I first saw this footage, and I'm showing it to you, I personally got really emotional on this stuff because I just always want to be reminded it's important that there are real people out there who our jobs are on the line, whose Social Security is on the line, who veterans benefits on the line, and I just always want to make that clear. And it's a different point of view, guys. Like, say, when you see just the representative on stage, right? You don't think of them as how can I say, amongst the people. Opposed to, say, when you see reverse angle, when you can see, like, there's representative there's people in the audience. etc. It has a different feel to it, and that's why I'm showing you both points of view on this stuff. Regards to what was said there, they covered a lot of issues. A lot of voters have many concerns. Be it, hey, they asked them like, do you think Trump should annex Greenland or what was the other one? Greenland, and I think we're talking about Canada. The guy's like, no. The representative actually said that is not supporting that. So you do. For those of you who've never been to these kind of things, I always encourage people to go see. This is democracy. This is the headlines here. Republican congressman faces extended boos and jeers at rowdy town hall. So regardless of what you think of Representative Chuck Edwards, like I said, at least he's got the guts to go talk to voters, even if I disagree with what he says. This is what democracy is, right? People were obviously upset. This was the gentleman that was escorted out, and I mean, he was. I can't even show the video, all of it, but I'll just say he was very upset, yelling a lot and swearing, this kind of things, which rightfully so. I'm not discounting his feelings or anything like that, but these kind of situations of like, and I'll read some kind of the stuff that was said. So for example, it says attendees. This would be at one of the these kind of town halls. Attendees expressed anguish and outrage about Mr. Musk's efforts to slash federal workforce, putting Mr. Edwards on the defensive as he fielded questions about cuts to areas, including Department of Veterans Affairs. Here's a quote here. There have been no cuts to the staff at the VA, right? And then he was angrily interrupted, and the person said, I was fired, right? A man in the audience shot back, jumping to his feet. There were people at this hospital that were fired. That's a lie, right? You will get called out on these kind of things. And that's why I say, when you're going to represent the people, listen to the people, listen to the people's experiences. That will, and if you truly care about them, you represent, your constituents and you fight for them. That will always be the delineation between someone who's a good representative in your district, your state, and someone who's not. And I'll let you guys decide, because I can't cover everyone's representative or district. I'll just say this, in my personal experience, I met, I can't think of his name, Feingold. I always get his name wrong. Russ Feingold, one time, that was in Wisconsin. And he's always been one of my favorite politicians. I don't think he's in politics anymore. But he would fight for campaign finance reform, which is not a major issue in USA, unfortunately, which it should be. Basically, get money out of politics. And I know it's sort of these day and age, it's always in vogue to hate on all politicians and say they're all bad. And I'll just say it's just going to depend on your neck of the woods, but the ones that you want are the ones who represent you. I unfortunately, we live in this day and age where the way that a lot of people, vote, or a lot of people pay attention to stuff is just kind of maybe once every 4 years, and they say, oh, well, Trump promised me lots of jobs and everything's going to go awesome. And he's promising me, I guess, Doge rebate checks of $5,000 or no taxes on $150,000. And if you don't follow this kind of stuff, and this is just the point of view of regular people, maybe some people just believe all this nonsense that he says. And so this is sort of why I try to call out stuff, what's real, what's not real. This was an interesting headline coming from the Washington Post today. It says, Trump has a plan to remake the economy, but he's not explaining it very well. And this is actually a fairly soft headline. I'll be fair. I said you can make a case they have kind of a plan, but their plan is so ludicrous. Be it he wants to sell these Trump gold card things, he wants to raise tariffs, right? Where that tariff money is going to go has been under debate. His people are fighting over said money. You got Musk out there trying to get your data, this kind of stuff. Like, obviously, a lot of people are feeling very uneasy about this. When you read descriptions of stuff, and I'll go over it with you guys, it says here, President Donald Trump acknowledges that his economic plan is causing short-term pain, right? So you're seeing angry town halls because, and at least, they're telling the truth at one point, because often the Trump people don't. But they're like saying, hey, man, things are going to get bad. Because in that kind of way, it's hard to tell people that things are great when you're like, man, look at the price of eggs. You're crazy. Right? So the Trump people are already saying this plan is going to cause short-term pain while the nation advances to a, quote, new golden age. So that's very optimistic from the Trump and Musk point of view. I disagree on that stuff, but I'm just telling you what they say. But administration officials have been less clear about what the destination will look like and how long it will take to get there. They're going to be promising you, this is the Trump Musk people, that everyone's going to be rich. And they've been saying, I've been seeing Lutnick, and that's their Commerce Secretary, telling how we're all going to be rich. Even Trump says that stuff too. It's so stupid. But I just try to tell you what they say. Also says here, the president talks about reindustrialization, reindustrializing the Midwest, while his Treasury Secretary, that would be Besant, emphasizes weaning Americans from an unhealthy reliance on government spending. Trump's Commerce Secretary, so that would be the Lutnick guy, is keen to balance the federal budget. His top White House economic advisor touts the virtues of tax cuts and massive deregulation. The math doesn't work out for their balance the budget stuff. I don't think they're ever going to balance the budget. And to be fair, I highly doubt any party is going to come in and balance the budget anytime soon. But you never know. We're going to watch this stuff, but I really doubt the Trump people do it. The math doesn't work. Amid signs of investor unease, the Trump administration insists it aims to help Main Street, not Wall Street. But so far, the administration is discordant course is not satisfying either one. The erratic pace and tone of Trump 2.0 is. They go through how, they keep changing their mind and back and forth. So they really have a messaging problem. And it's not just that, they got a policy problem. That frankly, these people are incompetent. And then when they are questioned on things, so over the weekend, it was the deportation stuff. If you want to watch the press secretary go on and on, it was that Karen Levitt, I think is her name is. She'll always repeat the same kind of stuff. They'll say like, hey, do you have the power to defy courts? And they'll be like, well, we're the president. We're the executive branch. That's basically their explanation all the time, that like they're trying to make the case they're above courts, which is kind of ridiculous. And I want to point this stuff out. I mentioned it from time to time. I just want to point out again, because it honestly, there's a couple Korean movies, and I mentioned these because they capture what's going on in the USA really, really well. Even though it's a different country, I understand, but we're all human, and the way you could say mafia kind of figures react are very similar. This first one's called 12 Today. It's about essentially a military coup and how people choose sides, right? And you have to decide which side is right. And then on top of that, this one is 1987, which is kind of where we are now when people decide to stand up against, essentially the bullies like the Trump and the Musk. And the opening scene of the movie is really important. And both these movies are fairly historically accurate. Essentially, there's a student that died, and the government tries to cover it up. And oftentimes with these kind of things, right, the cover up ends up being, I won't say worse, I'll just say a big part of the story, right? And who's going to decide to cover it up and who's going to decide to tell the truth. It's a really good, both are very good movies, and I'd recommend it. And this goes back to in the opening when I talked about, say, when you're representative, always stay attuned to what's going on with the people. So for example, this is from the Wall Street Journal today. Job seekers hit wall of salary deflation. And they did a whole thing on, before, if you get a job offer, there might be some wiggle room to try to get, more money, et cetera. Those days are long gone. And it's hard for people to change jobs these days as well, because oftentimes if you're going to change jobs, you're going to, go for a pay increase. That would be a kind of a normal thing, but those days are long gone as well. Again, how are people feeling on the ground under the, Trump and Musk? And again, Musk wants to fire you and replace you with robots in the eye. That's their plan. We also have this going on in the economy, which is interesting. We kind of knew this was going to happen, but I just want to give you an update. America see growing risk they'll get turned down for loans. So people are feeling like the credit markets are, tough to get things that you need if you want to say buy a house, buy a car, etc. This is coming from the Federal Reserve, sort of people's expectations on auto loans, right? They're thinking they're going to get rejected. Credit card applications, credit card limits, right? Can I get more money or not? Or try to get a mortgage for a house. So the headline of this one was credit difficulties. Consumers expect increasing likeliness that their applications will get rejected. These are actually some numbers here of refinances. It's harder for people to get them, is basically what it boils down to, right? So it says growing share of homeowners can't get refi amid the tight credit markets, and that's going up. And on top of that, you have dwindling savings among Americans, which is something we've seen. You always hear those numbers from time to time. So this is the average likelihood of being able to come up with $2,000 if an unexpected need arose with the next month, right? So how many people would have $2,000 if there's any kind of emergency, something like that? So the numbers, it looks like maybe only 62% of Americans or something like that could say yes to that. I just bring all these things in, and one, see what's going on at some of these rowdy town halls, why Republicans won't do it. The ones that do, they face a lot of questions about what's going on with Trump and Musk. So you're not alone if you're in that camp going like, what is Trump Musk doing, etc. And then they try to gaslight you by saying, oh, everything's going to be great, you're all going to be rich. Maybe there's some temporary pain, but when you look at the numbers, Americans are really struggling. And again, you're not alone if you're experiencing these things and you feel like that certain politicians aren't necessarily being truthful for you. So I try my best to tell you what's going on, and want to hear your thoughts on it. And I'll catch you on the next video.